Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I'm going to be installing a dash cam on my 2022 Chevy Silverado LTD. I'm going to be installing a BlackVue DR900X 2-channel Plus. This is a 2-camera system, front facing and one rear facing. And I like BlackVue. I have a BlackVue installed on my 2019 GMC Canyon. If you are interested in that installation video, I'll post a link to it in my description box below. I did that several years ago and the camera has honestly been flawless. I boot into it every once in a while to pull camera footage off of it when some sort of event happens that I might want to save. Just turns on when I need it and does the parking mode when it's parked and shuts off, and it's great. So this camera is just basically it's a newer version of the one I have in my Canyon. This is the DR900X. It has a forward facing cam. That's this bigger one here that mounts forward and has parking function capability as well. So it'll actually record when you're parked. After a certain while, it will eventually shut off. I think there are some settings in the app that you can adjust, like if it records for so many hours and whatnot. So it does come with that feature built in, which is nice. You don't have to buy any sort of extra modules. This is the rear facing camera that you stick onto the back glass of your vehicle. Now this does have a bracket that comes with the kit that uses a 3M sticky to adhere for the forward facing camera. I, however, am going one step further and I'm going to be using a Blendmount. This doesn't come with the kit, but I use this on my Canyon, and this attaches to the mirror with a little clamp here, and then the camera slides inside here, and it just makes a little bit more secure of a mounting solution, and you're not relying on that 3M tape to wear out over the years with heat and sun and whatever. This just basically clamps, and that's it for that. So this is not included. This is a separate. I'll post a link to the Blendmount in my description box below. With the BlackVue kit, they include everything you need. Like I said, it comes with a sticky mount that you can use if you don't want to use a blend mount. It comes with the cable that connects the rear camera to the front camera. It comes with a standard car cigarette lighter 12-volt plug for the main camera. And then it also comes with the hardwiring kit. So you can just plug it directly into your 12-volt cigarette lighter and be done. Or you can go a step further and do the hardwiring, which is what I'm going to do because I don't like seeing wires all over the place. So it comes with that extra harness, which is nice. It also comes with a couple of tools here, a pry tool for opening trim, some extra sticky mounts, the SD card, which is a 32-bit by default. I think you can upgrade it to a 64 or a 128 or whatever. I'm sticking with the 32 and calling it a day. And then there's a couple little 3M sticky wire cable management clips you can see there. Another thing that's not included is a wiretap kit. If you're going to use the hardwire harness, you'll need to tap into your fuse box somewhere. And it doesn't include the fuse taps in the harness. You can see there's just those two bare wires there, and then that's a ground. So you'll have to use one of these fuse taps. I've used these in the past. They're pretty easy. I've already identified a couple of fuses on my truck that I'm going to use because you need a fuse that is switched 12-volt power and also constant 12-volt power. So that means constant would be a fuse has power when the vehicle is off. So for instance, this F3 fuse on the internal fuse panel is the universal garage door opener system. My truck's not even equipped with this system, but it has a fuse and it has power at the fuse, so I'm going to use that for my constant power. And then there's a few options for switched 12-volt power. There's fuse 23, 22, and 20. This is a miscellaneous RC, which I think means run crank, meaning switched power. And it also has a switched 12-volt for heated steering wheel, which my truck doesn't have. Also for vented seats, which my truck doesn't have either. So there's a few options for getting the hardwire installed. Now, basically, I'm just going to start going through and running the wiring from the front camera to the back camera, and then bringing the wiring down to the fuse box location. And then once it's all hooked up, you just plug it in and download the app and connect it, and off you go. All right, so I've got the rear camera mounted to the window. I cleaned the glass off with some isopropyl alcohol, and I've got it centered on the window where I want it. And now I'm going to hook up the wiring for this camera, or at least I'm going to start running it. And it's this long wire, and there are two ends to this wiring. There's a straight plug just like this, and then there is another plug that has a 90-degree bend on it. And they're also labeled with F and R. So this R goes to this camera back here. I'm just going to start fishing it and pushing it up into the headliner and then working my way down to the C pillar here, and then fishing it behind the C pillar down to the door sill. All right, so I've got the camera installed, like I said, and I've got the wire ran up into the headliner. I used a little one of those clips right there, and then another one there, and another one there. They're hard to see because of the reflection in the glass, but I put them there just because there's nothing really to attach that wire to in the headliner. It just kept falling down. But then once I got over here to the C pillar, I just sort of pushed the wire back behind here. You can pop this panel out gently, but be careful because there is an airbag sensor behind it. So you can very gently pull back this rubber grommet, and then this panel actually pops off, and it's just held in with clips. And once I fed it into the top there, I fed it down to about right here, and then I pulled off this entire rubber strip all the way down to the kick panel here at the sill and fed that wire. And right now I just have that wire coming out of the sill plate, which also just pops right off. That's the sill plate right there. So I've got it right here to the passenger side rear door. I got to make its way up to the front and up the A pillar, and then eventually over to the rear view mirror area. So that's what I'm going to work on next. All right, so this is where I am currently. I've got the wire ran through the B pillar. You can just see it back here. I've got it zip tied to this harness. I fed it underneath this little tray, which you can actually remove if you want more access. There's 5mm screws on this little tray. You can take this whole thing out and run your wires underneath. And then I've got it running right here, zip tied along the way up here to some of these factory harnesses, up to this spot right here where I just tucked it behind this weather strip, all the way up to where this plastic panel meets the headliner. And I then ran the wire back behind here in this little crease, and then fished it back behind the headliner all the way over, and then I dropped it down right here. I did remove the plastic cover that covers the wiring right here by the rear view mirror, but I'm going to leave it off for this next part, because this is where I'm going to actually run the wiring back this way and down for the power for the camera. I'm going to use the same avenue down to this fuse panel right here on the side is where I'm going to get my hookups. I've already tightened it, but I'm going to have to loosen it again. There's a 10mm bolt here on this grab handle that I just loosened a couple of turns. That gives you a little extra space here to pry it back and get your wire back behind there. So that's a 10mm, and it just pops this little cover plate off, and you can loosen that to give a little more space. Next, what I'm going to do is the power cable, and I'm going to run it backwards here along the same as that video cable down to the side here in the door jamb where this fuse panel is located. Alright guys, fast forward a little bit more. I've got the power wire ran. I've got the camera mounted to the rear view mirror with the BlackVue mount. Goes on there nice and good. I ended up breaking the cover plate on the inside of that trim piece when I was doing the wiring for the camera. So I had to just use some painter's tape to hold it in place. I'm going to find the part number for it and get a new piece. It's just the inside piece of this. It's not this exterior one. There's just this one inside, and this is just going to fall out if I took the tape off, so whatever. So I've got my wires all ran nice and clean. They go up into the headliner here. They go across the headliner, down and around this A pillar piece, down the weather stripping, and then they come out right here. The power at least, and the video just keeps going back towards the back camera. But I've also got the wiring done for the camera. So I've got two fuse tabs here. The one on the left is the constant power, and the one on the right, which is centered on the screen, is the switched power, which ended up being fuse number 20 because I couldn't fit that fuse tab at fuse 23 or fuse 22 because of this big factory clip here. The top of this wasn't letting me go, and that's the way those need to be oriented to catch the power correctly. So those are the two power hookups, and then there's a black wire here that I've got zip tied that is going down to a factory ground, which is right here. Just another 10mm. You don't even need to remove it all the way. You just need to loosen it enough to get the ground in place. And then I've everything hooked up, and I already got the camera synced and ready. So I'm gonna get some footage of it driving, and then I will add that to the end of this video. But as far as the install goes, that's it. I do have one thing I want to show you. I ended up having to move this back camera. That straight ahead is where I originally had it mounted, right in the middle of the glass on the back of the cab, but I didn't have enough wire to get the video all the way up to the front camera. So I ended up shifting it over and installing it upside down. You can see the letters are upside down. However, in the app you can flip the video with software and default it to be that way, so I did that already. It's not a big deal. It's a fisheye lens on that back camera, so it relatively looks centered still. It's kind of off to one side, but it's good enough to get a rear view, you know, camera view for, you know, the purposes of this. And then as far as these panels go, they just all clip right back into place. That's really easy. I didn't even use trim tools to pull these out. I use my hands, and they honestly, they come out really easy. This one goes back here somehow, like that. And I've got another one down there on the running board, and another one there. And they all just pop right back into place. So Once you sync the camera to your phone in the app, you can go into the settings and customize them to your liking. It was really easy to pair the phone in the app, and I didn't have any problems doing it. It worked on the first try. There's a lot of settings in here that you can customize to your liking. I'm not going to really go into depth on any of them, but if you want to pause the video on any of these screens, you can look at what options are on each of these menus. It took me a few days to get the camera settings exactly how I wanted them, but once that was done, I just kind of set it and forget it, and it's been working great ever since. Saving the recorded clips from the camera is really easy. You go into the storage on the app and you click download, and it will download them into the app where you can then share them to your email or text message to someone, or download them to your phone's album where you can save them for future use. But I found it really easy to download the files off of the camera and keep them for when I needed them for later. The default recording length of each clip is 1 minute long. With the 32 gigabyte storage card, I did find it only records about 2 to 2.5 hours worth of footage before it starts to overwrite the older footage. So if you want older footage to last longer, you need to get a larger SD card. Overall, I'm really pleased with this camera. I think a dash cam is a must-have for anyone that does a significant amount of driving for their job or even just personally. It can save your butt in the event of an incident, and some insurance providers apply a discount to your premium for having a dash cam installed, so check with your agent. That's it for today's video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. Love it if you subscribe. Stay tuned for new videos. See you next time. Later.